We're going to have a discussion about what journalism is and its importance and its how important it is and its role in a democracy. We are owned by Tegna. That is the name of our ownership group. It's a company that owns local TV stations, and not all of them are NBC affiliates. They have ABC, CBS, Fox affiliates, etc. And then we also produce Charlotte Today, which is a non-news program where clients can purchase segments and talk about their products and services. So you may not have known all of that is happening at your local TV station. So let's talk for a moment about journalism. I pulled this one off. I Googled it. I should have sourced it and I didn't, so I apologize. But I just found this online when I said, definition of journalism, and I liked it. It says journalism is the production and distribution of reports on current events based on facts and supported with proof or evidence. Big difference there, right? It's based on facts and supported with proof or evidence.
I Googled it. I should have sourced it and I didn't, so I apologize.
The word journalism can apply to the occupation as well as citizen journalists, but they have to gather and publish based on facts, not just their opinion, not just some meme they saw, right?
I just found this online when I said, definition of journalism, and I liked it.
And journalistic media can include print, television, radio, and the internet. So why is journalism important? Well, journalism, in my view, is the only job protected by the US Constitution.
Journalism matters in all its forms because unless you're informed, you can't make decisions. You can't make the right decisions because you won't have all the information. Journalism is the bridge between what happens and what people do with that information.
The thing about legacy and traditional journalism, which people have taken for granted, is that it still performs a really important function. We learn this more and more with social media, where we have information overload. People think they can just find out for themselves and educate themselves on the issues.
So our job, I think, is to really use the time and resources that we have to gather that information and then distill it into something that makes sense.
And if you don't have the information, you can't understand what that is and how it affects you personally and what choices you can make.
Looking up who makes those decisions and finding out how to change something if something does need changing requires an informed citizenry. It requires a press that asks hard questions and requires a government that answers them.
There are real threats to democracy. There's a real danger that it's easy to be misinformed. It's harder to get facts than it used to be. It can lead to mistrust. It can lead to a decline of institutions. It can lead to a growing cynicism.
We're all in this together. And part of being a good citizen and contributing to that national conversation and that national decision making is filling your brain with stuff and not just doing stuff on the basis of what you heard yesterday from some guy down the street.
Young people today are more educated than any young people in previous decades. And we know that education usually is tied to how people will approach elections and will turn out at elections. So if young people today are more educated than ever before, one of the things they have to do is educate themselves about the news, about politics, about government, and about what's going on behind the scenes.
Being informed about the world keeps you informed about your life.
And you'll notice if you go to the chart on the bottom, we're not even the strongest or best at this in the United States. Anybody know what those countries are right up there, the top three green ones, very bright green? What are those countries? Yep, Stephanie is pointing to them there.
Norway, Finland, and Denmark.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is it Norway, Finland, and Denmark?
Yeah, you're close. You're right, because there's the top 10 list over on the left. So though they have the strongest freedom of press, right? United States is somewhere on that scale. And then there's also places then like China and Vietnam, right? And those countries that have no freedom of press. So we take it for granted in our country that we have freedom of speech and press. And not everyone in the world is as lucky as we are to have freedom of speech. So, this is, I consider what we do as journalists kind of a very patriotic thing, right? We try to stick on to stuff in our state so it doesn't look like an ESPN sportscast, but more local, covering our local teams. Producers, Producers decide what stories to put in the newscast. They write and organize the content. So if you love news and you love writing and you love content, but you don't want to be on TV, this is a great entry job for you. Assignment desk, same thing. They're the gatekeepers of content and the news traffic controllers in the newsroom. Okay, other career opportunities you're going to hear about this week. Sales. That's how we support our journalism, right? That journalism costs money to produce. So we have to create a revenue stream that helps pay for our journalism. And so we have very vibrant sales staff. We have sales managers
and account executives who help businesses achieve their goals with customized TV and digital marketing plans. So if you kind of like marketing, this might be an area for you. And then there's support staff in the sales department. They help manage the clients and the paperwork and the account services. So if you like being organized and detail busy work and not maybe want to go and work with clients out in the field, that would be another opportunity.
So what we do, our sales department sells this advertising, and we sell it on television and we sell it digitally for their social media, for their websites, for our, OTT channels. So we have an internal advertising agency that we produce that marketing for them. Then we write and produce television ads. We produce Facebook posts. We produce web ads. So that's what our in-house team does. We customize the solutions. We sell the advertising to the businesses. We write and produce all the advertising for them. And then we take their orders, track them, and make sure and provide information for billing. So that's a whole nother piece of a lot of jobs that are in our station that are great jobs. This would be an example, kind of a fun one, of a TV commercial that our team produced.
Only rainwater belongs in the storm drains. Anything else can pollute our creeks. There's lawn fertilizer, car washing in driveways, lawn clippings, even dog poop can pollute our creeks. So scoop the poop.
Sorry, it's
my friend, it goes to the creeks in the end. Only rainwater should go into storm drains.
It's a really funny spot, but it's acting up a little bit on us.
Learn more at stormwater.charmec.org.
I think part of it is don't move the cursor arrow, Stephanie. That confuses the player, but you get the idea, right? So that would be something that our team produced for a client. Okay.
Only rain.
You'll never get that out of your head the rest of the day now, right? And then other jobs. We have a marketing department. So we have all these products, these newscasts, the sports, weather, right? And we have to market our own products to the community to try to get them to watch our news and consume our products. So we have our own in-house marketing agency that support our products. And then this is the same group that also serves the clients that our sales team is selling. So we write and produce TV and digital spots for television and digital advertising campaigns. We have photographers who shoot and edit the commercials and promotional spots, those for our own products. We have social media producers who write social media posts and help our talent with their social media pages, like teach them how to market, because they're good journalists, but they're also not thinking about how to market themselves or market our news. So we help them with that. We track and manage our own advertising schedules on television and digital for our own products. Our managers look for ways to leverage our brand with other partners, and our managers are responsible for the planning and marketing campaigns, the creative process, the scheduling. So if you're thinking, oh, I want to be at an agency or an advertising agency, guess what? We have our own agency that supports our clients and supports our own station and all the products we produce. And here would be an example of a spot that our team produced for our own newscast.
Now you have the power to tell the difference between real and fake, and WCNC Charlotte is here to help. It could be a post on Facebook or Instagram, or something that just doesn't feel right.
We can verify that, yes.
Our team finds experts, digs up sources, and uncovers the answers to your questions. And if we can't verify, you'll know that too.
This is false.
Before you click share, get that social media claim verified and see the difference Verify makes in the news you watch. Only on WCNC Charlotte.
So a great example of how we produce commercials, promos we call them, for our own TV stations. And then a couple of other areas where we have jobs in finance and human resources. So if you have business friends, right? Most TV stations share these jobs in their companies with other stations that have the same owner. So like our CFO also helps another Tegna station, and our HR person actually serves 2 or 3 stations, and she's based in Jacksonville. And we're not going to go over these this week, but it's important to know. Zakia says, I'm a business major. I'm telling you, think about sales and make sure you attend the Friday morning session at 10 a.m. for sure.
Thursday.
In case you have HR friends or business friends, there are other great jobs. We also even have a research position. We share that with another station as well. So if you like research or analyzing data, these are other jobs that you might not have thought about at local TV stations, right? Okay, so what can you do now? One thing I would highly suggest is that you consume local journalism. And local journalism doesn't mean MSNBC or the nightly newscast with Lester Holt or Fox News, right? That's national journalism. Consume local journalism from your state or your market. Watch local TV newscasts. Follow local TV stations and their social media channels. See what they're doing on their Facebook page and what their talent's doing. Listen to a local TV station's podcast, download the station's app, accept push alerts, see what they're doing as far as their digital content. Just even if you think you want to be in sales and sell advertising, it's okay to, go write for the newspaper. And guess what? At the station's radio station and newspaper, they would need people to sell advertising at your college too, right? So you can do that, or you could create the ads. Got here on Tuesday, and then I started walking everybody out on Friday. But it's been a great year. We have a great team. I came here from Denver. I was running the Fox and CW stations for Tribune and Nexstar in Denver, 2 other companies that we were owned by Tribune and then sold. And then Lauren Beckerly is on here. She's kind of been the queen of registration and getting all of that set up because she is our digital sales manager. So she is digitally savvy, and she knows how to do all that fun stuff on the marketing. So, that piece was Lauren. And then Stephanie Mackey, who's running the presentation today, is our brand manager, and she works in our marketing department. Okay, so they'll be with me most of the week. Stephanie will definitely be with me. And if you're going to be on all the sessions, you'll be hearing and seeing from us. Even in New York and LA and Chicago have local TV stations. Now, if you want to be journalists, you've got to ask questions.
I actually do have a question. So for most of us that are in high school, when we're looking for a degree or a major to pick, I've noticed that through most schools that I've researched that most schools do not offer a major in journalism. So is there a major that another major that kind of is associated with journalism that you could apply for in college?
I'll tell you, I think a lot of schools offer journalism degrees. So do you know what you want to do or where your interest area is?
I'm not sure yet, but I've looked through different programs of communication, and I was just seeing that most schools do not offer majors in journalism. Most schools do offer minors in journalism, but it's more.
Are you finding, Nathan, communication degrees? Is that what you're finding?
Yes, ma'am.
That's okay. That would be similar.
Okay.
That would be very similar. So they might call it communications or the communications degree. And then you will find tracks in that department on kind of areas. You'll have to pick a track probably on areas that then you want to kind of go into. So do you want to, be a reporter? Do you want to be in television? Do you want to be in print? Do you want to take the more advertising side, right? You'll pick tracks.
Graphic design, if you want to design the creative. So you would be looking for, under that communications or journalism, you would look for a graphic design. So it depends on what school you're attending as well.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
We have some more questions in the chat, Joan.
Maisha, I'm going to hit that scholarship question. So let me be clear. The scholarship is for the CSB Media Arts Center. That's our partner in this program. It is not a scholarship for every school that you attend or all the other schools. They are partnering with us on this program. So it is a program here in Charlotte. I think it's a 14-week program. John is going to get on the final session and talk to you guys all about this and how you would apply for it, because one of the criteria is that you attend all 8 sessions, but it is for their program, to be clear. Okay, I see Matthew.
Nadia? Oh,
go ahead, Steph.
Nadia has a question.
I just wanted to know, what do internships look like for local rising seniors like myself, possibly in the fall, in the spring, more so for individuals who would like to do reporting and journalism? Oh, well, you know, written journalism or something like that.
And remind me what year you are, Nadia?
I'm a rising senior, so in the fall, I'll be a senior at JCSU.
Okay. I think some groups are opening up internships again this fall and next spring. I think you're just going to have to reach out and then start reaching out to local TV stations, newspapers, media groups. They all kind of handle them individually and separately, so there's not a great clearinghouse for that stuff. And I do think they're opening up. I know a lot of the Techna are offering internships this summer and fall. So, you know, start Googling is my advice on that.
Yeah, I found some for other stations. I was wanting to know, was there any for WCNC in particular?
Yeah, we are not this fall. I expect us to next spring again and summer, and we are not this fall. We chose to do this instead.
All right, thank you.
I have a question over here.
Oh, okay.
I go to Carolina School of Broadcasting. It's by the airport. Yeah, I guess it's like another version of CSB that's the partner of this promotion. And my degree is in digital media. And I'm guessing from the research I've done, it's an associate's degree. So how would a degree like that apply to me getting a job through you guys or doing an internship until further notice? How does that come into play?
So Cedric, I think what I'm hearing you ask is you're attending CSB now, and is that correct?
Yeah, I'm attending the one over there by the airport, not the one that's connected to this program.
Okay, I don't know the one over by the airport. I'm sorry.
It's called Carolina School of Broadcasting. That's the one that I attend at the moment.
Okay.
But it does the same thing as the one that's connected to this program.
Yeah. So so what happens, guys, is there are sizes of markets, right? And we're a 20-something market, right? And then there are going to be smaller markets like Columbia and larger markets like Chicago. And it's going to be a little easier to get an entry-level job in Columbia than it is in Charlotte, and way easier than Chicago, right? Market size is kind of like golf. Lower score means the higher, the better. So your biggest markets in the country are LA, Chicago, New York, and they're like markets 1, 2, and 3. We're market 22, is that right, Lauren? So we're considered a top 25 market. And Columbia's, anybody know what Columbia is? Probably 60, 70-ish. So some of it depends on market size, right? And we do hire some entry-level people. And we have hired people from the CSB schools. We have a couple of folks now. One is a director, and I believe one is a editor, producer. So we have hired folks from that program. It's just applying online, getting your foot in the door. And sometimes it's being willing to move to get that entry-level job. If Charlotte's your target market, you might need to go to Columbia for a couple of years and then come back to Charlotte or Raleigh or somewhere like that. Okay.
All right, we have a question in the chat from Kiera. How do you find which path is good for you if you aren't 100% sure yet? Just try everything.
I think sometimes it's trying multiple things, right? And I do hope that if you sit in all 8 sessions this week, you'll start to get a flavor of what one might fit you. You know, if you want to be on air, that's one thing. You know, if you're just highly organized and love being in charge of things, maybe assignment desk is a good path, right? So I think you'll start hearing on and then matching that to things you enjoy or you like to do. I started out on air. I was a reporter and an anchor. And I'm going to be honest, and I know Stephanie and Lauren are going to find this hard to believe, but I like being in charge of things. I like being bossy. That's who I am, right? And I just gravitated toward that, right? And so I was producing and anchoring, and I figured out that I really liked producing more, because producing, you were in charge of it and you were in charge of your show. And producing led me then to news management. And then I became a news director in Phoenix, right? And I was over the entire newsroom. And then that eventually led me to station management, right? So it, you know, you might start out in one thing and find out that you're going to zigzag over there, right? And that's okay.
I would say leave yourself open to. Take in all that you can, get those experiences, get those internships. You know, once the world kind of starts opening back a little bit more, and find those opportunities where you can, and don't just lock in on that one thing. Keep yourself open, learn all you can. I started in radio. And I loved talking and being on the mic, but I also liked being in the background and helping folks and helping with branding and really representing whatever company I was with. So that's what got me to the brand manager path. So, but be open. I worked at an ad agency, a couple of ad agencies, and for a really big brand as well. So you just never know where your path is going to lead you, but stay open.
Can I?
Okay. We're gonna get, I tell
hi.
you what, we're gonna, Gabrielle, we're gonna keep going through the chat. So if you have a question, put it in the chat, or say I have a question. And I think Cedric, did we hit Cedric already?
Yeah, we got Cedric. Lenny was next.
Okay.
Hi. So I have a question because I'm doing meteorology right now and I'm considering broadcast meteorology, but it's to my understanding that like you guys have some like meteorologists that don't appear on air. Is that correct? Like some like behind the scenes, like working on collecting data. Is that right at all?
So some of the bigger markets might have what we call a weather producer, who's a meteorologist who's helping produce the shows or organizing them. I'll be honest, Lenny, in television, there's not a lot of those. Those are in the very big markets, and most of the meteorologists are on air.
So the meteorologists like we see on WCNC Charlotte, they're all the meteorologists that you guys have, we've seen on air before.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. And then I have like go ahead.
Pretty typical.
Okay. And I have a side question. So like a producer gets like to control and like what is produced out to the viewer, right? So like does like the reporter themselves or like the meteorologist themselves or the anchor themselves get to have like any creative input or control?
So the reporter writes their own script and their story for that day. They'll write the lead in, the package, the tag. The producer might edit it, massage it, or the executive producer, the manager might kind of, you know, have a second set of eyes, but that's done by that journalist. And then the anchors go through the scripts, the whole show with the producer, editing, you know, tweaking it in their voice, fact checking. So you always want to have 2 or 3 sets of eyes on everything. So yes, and then they would also, you know, there'd be a conversation, and you'll see this week about an editorial meeting. What are we going to lead with? And we'll all kind of decide what we'll lead with, make those decisions. So the show producer is certainly the captain that's kind of guiding it, and there's lots of input in the process. There is no dictatorship in the newsroom. And the meteorologists produce their own weathercasts. They might get some direction from the news director, the manager of the newsroom, saying what to do, or we want to make sure you lead with this, but they're pretty much in charge of their weathercast. Most of us non-scientists do not want to tell the scientists what to do because you're the experts.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Lenny.
Kayla had a question. How would one become an anchor? What are the steps and positions you have to go through to become an anchor on TV?
Typically,
The history of the aviary here. I was doing a little bit of research before we came, and this is actually Canada's oldest aviary.
And a sanctuary for parrots who become homeless at no fault of their own.
How many birds are there here on site at the aviary?